Welcome back to True Crime Broads. We are so excited about our guest. He is local to Ellis County and one of our friendly faces on Instagram. And Michael, I'll let you introduce yourself. Thanks for joining us on True Crime Broads.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I am Michael De Lara. I lived in Ellis County probably about 20 years. I lived with my wife and my daughters for a while. Now they're out of the house, just the dogs. But I am 30 plus years in law enforcement. Started with a city law enforcement agency, and then went to the county, and I've been there ever since. Almost retired last year, but I'm trying to add a little bit more
Got a little bit more to go.
retirement.
So you work for Ellis County?
No, I actually work for Dallas County.
Dallas County. Okay, that's right. What is your exact position now?
I am over at the constable's office right now.
Nice. All
Mhm.
right. So, as someone who has been in Ellis County for so long, you obviously were a resident when we lost Missy Bevers back in 2016. What,
Right.
as someone who's in
Right.
as somebody who's in law enforcement and also a member of the community, what were your initial thoughts on this? If you don't mind, kind of telling us what you thought when you heard the news.
Well, I was surprised because I mean, I know things go on in Ellis County, but something to that degree really surprised me, shocked me. I did not know personally. Uh, One of the persons who found her that morning, I do know them for many years. Um, when I was looking at the video, my first inclination was right off the bat was, oh, this is a woman. And
Right.
but the more I look at it, the more I kind of wonder. I don't that way. I've seen them, reach the way this one's reaching for doors, um, and kind of looking around here and there. I mean, it kind of reminds me of hell. So I don't know. That's what's weird. Had somebody reach out to me a while back, and it's been probably about a year or two ago, and say, "Hey, I've got somebody who's kind of interested in saying something about this. Would you be willing to talk with her? Here to go to the sure." When I waited and waited, nothing ever came of it. I reached back out. Well, then that piece of that person had ended up and moving. They were scared and didn't want to say anything.
Oh,
Kind of
that's
disappointed.
bad. So there was someone
Yeah,
who said they might have some information on Missy's situation, but they backed out and moved.
right. That's what I'm under.
Dang it.
And I couldn't get them to give me their contact information, and finally did get a hold of this person and say, "Hey, you have that information?" The number was bad, and I couldn't get a hold of it.
That's too bad they didn't just share it with you and you could have entered it anonymously. That's what they should have had you do.
I don't know so many people with the police department there. I would have gone down in a heartbeat if not talked them into going with them.
Right. Dang it.
Yeah, we get that a lot. A lot of people, want to come forward, but they're afraid.
Yeah, people are afraid. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't either because I think the mentality that I see, and even those when I talk to folks on the street, is well, I just don't want to get involved. Why not? If it's a problem, if it's a matter of right and wrong, why would you not want to get it?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree.
That just to me that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, did this person give you any hints? Did they know Missy or did they know the perpetrator or was it just something they overheard?
When I talked to our Goldman, him for years, he said they got information um, that this guy, the person that wanted to talk to me, I'm feeling it was a lady, said that she was with a group of friends and somebody had said whether that means anything, I don't know. I don't know what or what she might have heard. Um, which is that's what I'm understanding. It was something they had overheard,
Right,
and they
right.
wanted to leak it to me, and and they were, they were scared as well, and then they just up and took off. Quite what make it.
Well, that's a shame. Yeah, I guess stuff like that happens all the time. But on the flip side, maybe we can feel a little bit better about it. We will get people that say, "Hey, look, I have sensitive information about this case and I'm really worried and I'm afraid for my life." And then they'll tell us something completely ridiculous that we can easily check out that it's incorrect. So we'll just
Right.
have to hope that's what that lady had and that we
Yeah, that's all. Hopefully it wasn't much of anything, you know.
right. Because that'd be a horrible shame if it was really something.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. I've been watching y'all's podcast for a long time, and with all the updates and so forth. And I try to share the information when I get a chance and put that out on all these different Facebook places that I run. Try to
That's
keep
so
it
nice.
relevant.
That is nice. How did you find us?
Somebody had mentioned it. I think it was a mutual friend of mine said,
Oh, okay.
to go check this this podcast.
Okay.
And when I did, it was just following you guys and listening to you, and you have some interesting theories and things going on, and that make a lot of sense,
That's
And
awesome.
I
We're glad.
like how you tear things apart a little bit, and so it works. I enjoy it. I really do.
Yeah. Well,
That's
that's
cool.
nice.
We really appreciate you listening and being on our social media too. That's awesome. And sharing things. And with your followers, that's amazing. So what do you think? Okay, so you're in law enforcement.
Mhm.
Why do you think this is taking so long to solve? Because I think most of us thought this thing would be wrapped up pretty quickly.
I would think so too. I think in one of y'all's podcasts you had mentioned that there's this possibility that the DPS or Texas Rangers kind of turned away on this, that they offered their help, um, which I don't know. I hadn't been able to verify that. I've been reaching out to find out for sure what was going on there, because my thinking would be, and it's nothing against Midlothian, but they don't have anything like this happen all the time, like in Dallas or Fort Worth, and I would take all the help I could get um,
Yes.
on something like this. Why it's taking them so long, I'm not really sure. I'm sure they're following each and every lead, and I'm sure there's a lot of leads that end up at dead ends, and it's just hearsay. And somebody
Yeah.
like said, well, my neighbor looked a little weird, or I saw this guy walking down the street, and he kind of resembled that. Okay, I get that. There's a lot of dead ends. I get that,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the couple of investigators, real good guys, good job at what they do. I think it's kind of dried up a little bit. I think it's going to probably take that one conversation that is said, that somebody leaks it, and because as well, usually when somebody commits a crime like that, they can't always keep themselves. They're going to tell someone somewhere that's their downfall,
Mhm.
even if it's years later. I'm hoping that'll be the case on this situation here.
Right.
Shut down and get a conclusion to it. Missy and her family and so forth. Community needs.
What if this murderer does confess to someone and that person goes to law enforcement? That's really not enough to convict someone, though, right? Wouldn't they still have to have some additional evidence?
Well, when someone goes in and confesses to it, then they will turn around and they will reveal things that maybe Midlothian didn't put out. They'll confirm, the investigators will start confirming with them, different aspects of the crime. Only they would know. There's been people that come and confess to crimes before. They really didn't have anything to do with it. They were
It's
looking
so
for their
crazy.
life.
That's so weird.
And it is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's happened. It's happened in investigation. So I'm sure the investigators will do a good job piecing that. You confess to this. Give me some details on this. Things that only they would. Yes, be able to link it together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You think that would be that? I feel like there would be quite a few things that they could do to connect, to prove that they are the ones that actually did it. And I don't, since nobody else has come forward and pretended to be the person, I think we're good to go on that one.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Something I was looking at some of the earlier podcasts a few days ago, and I don't, unless I missed it, I don't recall that the investigators or anyone was ever saying that there was an alarm system in the church. I mean, there were cameras, obviously.
Yeah.
It was not an actual alarm system.
Correct. That's our
And-
understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of strange because my church has an alarm system, and when no one's there, it's on.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they might have known that because they weren't in a real hurry to do it. They were just kind of casually walking around the church. They didn't. They weren't in any real hurry to get in, get out, get gone.
Right.
So that kind of struck me as odd.
That leads me to a really important question. I'm glad you said that. Do you think that Missy was targeted, or do you think she walked in and was in the wrong place at the wrong time?
I do believe she was targeted. I don't think that was just a robbery gone bad. When it was taken, they already said that it was taken. I believe that this person walking around inside there was just verifying that no one else was there. Sometimes we drive by our church and there may be a car there. Or the pastor may be there, and his wife might have dropped him off, and he's there studying or whatever.
Right.
I think that's what they were doing, is kind of making sure no one was in the place. And I can only imagine what might have happened to come across somebody else, in that place. Would they have retreated? Would they just take them out? Well, I don't know. That's just something I think about.
We think it's probably targeted too. I think most people think that, because to have on that outfit, to be dressed in sort of police tactical gear, it seems like they did that for a reason other than other than just wandering around a church sort of aimlessly.
Have you ever been to the church?
No, I have not been inside. I've been by it several times, but I have not been inside. I thought about going by there one Sunday and attending church there and kind of taking a look, but
Yeah.
no, I have not.
It's interesting. Okay, so the back of the church is going to be like, there's like a hill that goes down. So the back of the church, you could actually walk up to the back of the building, and I'm level to the bottom of the windows. So one of the windows that they broke was at the bottom. So this is what I think. This is just my theory. Doesn't mean it happened, but I think they walked over to that window that was, leveled to them, just walk over and just broke it, maybe tapped it with the hammer, broke it, got back in the car, went over to SWFA and waited to see if any police were going to come, because there was a silent alarm. Nobody came. And at that point they said, okay, I think we're good. And then they continued on with their plan. Now that's just my theory, because the place where they broke that window, they couldn't have crawled through it unless they had a ladder or something. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The ground, the way the ground was. So that's just my thinking. But I'm with you on the alarm thing. That is weird. They didn't have one.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think that's a good point on there. Either A, they knew there was no alarm. B, they weren't sure, and so they might have
tested
just to test it. I think that's theory. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been so weird because, as you know better than the rest of us, probably there's just not this kind of crimes that these types of things don't happen in Midlothian, Texas. It's just been mind boggling that this even occurred in the first place. And then to have it go this long without being solved. I know that there's a lot of people in the community that we hear from that are uncomfortable because obviously, as far as the general public knows, there's a homicidal maniac on the loose. And even if she was targeted, you still think, well, this person obviously was overreacting to whatever was bothering them, so it could happen again. This person doesn't not in their right mind.
Yeah, people that usually have anger issues, they don't just stop being angry. So if you blow it out of proportion enough to go bludgeon and brutally murder somebody, I'm sure that you could do it twice.
Right. Yeah. It's really crazy to think this person. Do you, Michael, I know you're speculating like the rest of us, but do you think that Missy's perpetrator still lives in the Ellis County area?
I think it's possible. You
Yeah.
know, if that was something that I did, I don't think I would hang around. But you know, I think they might be testing. Uh, once they found out that nobody is really coming after him and nobody has a good lead, maybe they're a little more comfortable. They're just hanging out in the area. I don't know. Could be.
That's,
Um,
that's how the Delphi case up in Delphi, Indiana was. It was a guy just working at CVS that people saw every day right there in that tiny town. And he was there that whole entire time. I think that one took about 6 years to solve.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. He just was still hanging around the town. They even questioned him. He placed himself at the bridge when he talked to police.
Yeah.
And that
Went
still
in.
took 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's just, things like that happen, I guess, and people blend in, and it just takes the right amount of evidence to haul them in,
I think it's a good possibility that eventually they're going to have to say something to somebody. Maybe they'll have had a little much drink sometime, and then
and they'll just say it. Yeah.
yes, and they will turn around and inadvertently say something, and hopefully somebody is listening and paying attention. Maybe they will
Turn them in.
help out. They've got their Midlothian's got their work cut out.
Yeah.
Um, you were talking about one of your cats. You were talking about what they were wearing, and it's hard to tell in the video because the video's okay, but when you go to zoom in on it, it starts real grainy and it's hard to
Yeah.
get exactly any details. I've never understood that because I've got great video. I got cameras around my house and I can zoom in and it's clear. Why is videos of crime scene always grainy?
I know that is so weird. I know. Even I have the little, it's not a Ring camera, but it's similar to a Ring camera at my house. I mean, I think I paid $20 for them on Amazon,
Right.
and they have excellent, you can see so good on them. I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah.
Hey, that reminds me too, Michael, your experience with surveillance cameras. Do you think that the cameras in the church had audio? It seems like they would, because even those cheap ones that Renee's talking about, $20 on Amazon, have really good audio. Do you think that the cameras in the church would have caught some audio?
I was thinking about that the other day. I kind of think they probably did. Probably not a whole lot there. Um, Depending on the cameras were still video at the time that Missy was packed. Did it
Right.
pick up, get packed? I
It would be
don't
nice.
know.
It would be nice if they picked up the perpetrator's voice at some
Yes.
point and were able to use that. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right though, because apparently they were motion activated cameras. So I guess it would depend on if they were
Whether
actually
they were,
on at the
yeah.
right time when the perpetrator said or something. Yeah.
Right. And the other reason why I think it's more of a targeted injuries. Pain. It seemed real personal. Not just someone that ran across a robbery and they sustain a few injuries here and there because they were somewhere they shouldn't be. No, this one sounded real personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It just definitely, I can't make it untargeted. It doesn't fit for me.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
because typically, I feel like if a person's going to go in there and do some, misdemeanor, possibly felony, criminal activity, they're not going to, up it from a year to 2 years in jail to, 5 to or 10 to 99 or whatever it is, for brutal, for murder. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't seem like the right, I don't know, scenario to me.
Well, typically your robbers too, when they go in and they go in there to steal whatever, they're going right to where they need to go.
Right.
Sometimes churches get targeted for the office. And they're going to go to the office because they know that's where the stuff should be.
That is, yeah.
Or another church. So they go in to steal audio equipment or cars, so they're going to go right to the worship center, and they're going to pick that stuff up there, and then they're gone. out
Yeah.
of there. And this person here, they just took their so
Walking
sweet
around.
time.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah.
So you think that the perpetrator was just wandering around aimlessly like we do, right? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that you think this person wasn't
I
frantically.
do. I think they were checking it out to see, just doubly make sure that no one was in the place. You know, now,
Yeah.
why would there be somebody there at, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning? Well, somebody was going to be there. Missy, because she had something going on there. Maybe there
Right.
was somebody that showed up when I had to use church for some things before. We had to have one of the deacons go up early in the morning. Sometimes I'll work the elections and down at church, and we have to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. Well, they show up to unlock the doors for us so we can get everything in there. I think maybe they were just verifying no one was there before they do what they had
Yeah.
in mind.
They didn't want, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
That's the
point.
theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I hadn't really thought of that. I thought they were more or less just killing time, picking at locks, opening doors. But you're right. It would make sense that they were making sure nobody was there. That would derail their plan or make them have to kill more than one person potentially.
Now, I have a
Right.
question for you. If, let's just say that you're watching this on a, level of investigating this case to see what you think about it. And you're watching the person at the point where they're facing that little door and they're tapping with their hammer real gently, and then they pull a tool out and put it back, and then they turn around. That's the area I'm talking about. What is your thinking of what they're doing there? Because they're kind of tapping with their hammer and looking like they're trying to get in that door, I guess.
That's kind of what I thought, because there's another clip where if you're looking at the video and they're on the left side, they entered in one door, they went in and looked, they came right back out, tried to get in another door, but couldn't get into that. So I think that's what they were doing on the other side as well. Or I don't know, was that the same door, just two different camera angles? I don't.
No, it was no, are you talking about the one at the end? That's a whole different one. It's the
Okay.
one where they're sitting there tapping with their hammer. Because here's the thing, like, I don't obviously break into places and I'm not a thief, but I think I could have gave it more effort than they did. I would have been like, I would have definitely did more damage to that door if I truly wanted to get in there. So what was their point? Were they just making a show, or what do you think?
I think it goes back to them just verifying what was there and who was there, if anyone was there. I think, whether they were just buying a little time until Missy showed up, because after all, she did post it on her social media that she was going to be there at a certain.
Yes.
Were they buying a little time? Yeah, it could be part of it, but I still think it goes hand in hand with them double checking just to be sure
Right.
else was in the place.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought that was so strange. I thought, man, you didn't put a whole lot of effort into getting in that room, did you? Or getting that door. And it's a utility closet, but I still thought that was interesting. I'm like, I could have did a better job if I would really wanted to get in it.
Yeah, this whole thing is just strange. I don't think I've seen anything weirder than this. It's definitely not that, it's been kind of close to our orbit for sure. It's just
Right.
Isn't this bizarre? I mean, the victim is a woman, a mom. She walks into a church just trying to set up a class so she can make some extra money.
Right.
There's nothing really weird about anything except this horrible crime that happened. I mean, it's just hard to believe. It's hard to wrap your head around how this happened and why.
It is. I still think it's a very personal attack. So something is there that hasn't been connected yet. Why it was so personal, brutal. It really had to have, in my opinion, some animosity, some hate towards that person to do what you did.
Right. And and all the usual motives like cheating and all that kind of stuff. It takes a different person though to take it to this level. I mean, I think we've all been double crossed by people or disappointed by people, but to put on that outfit and go wait for her in the church to attack her as she walks in, that's a whole different level of crazy.
Yeah. And obviously plan it.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely planning there.
Yeah, that's if we're right about this, that it was pre-planned and that it's definitely targeted, then I would say there's no way that this defendant will ever be able to say that it wasn't premeditated.
Well, it had to be meditated. Why else would you dress up like that?
Right.
You know, uh, it wasn't a spur of the moment type thing or a
No.
crime of passion. It was
Right.
premeditated. They knew what they were going to do. They probably followed her on her Instagram or page, social media. You know, they knew exactly where it was going to be.
Yeah, and it took some planning. We don't know if it was a long-term plan or a shorter plan, but it was definitely planned, you know.
Right. That's why you don't post everything on social media. You know, typically when like my wife and I, we like to go cruise, but we don't usually post anything.
After.
Want anybody to know I'm out of town?
Right.
Come
yeah.
ransack your house, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You just gotta be very careful nowadays. There's what's the phrase I like to use? A lot of whack out there.
Yeah.
So,
That's
really
for
is.
sure. Definitely.
And I think normal people like us, we forget about that until you see something like this in the news and you go, man, there's people out there that will hurt you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
scary.
For whatever whatever, upset them that we don't even know about.
hmm what might have upset them, you and I would probably just kind of blow it off. You know?
Right.
But then again, God falls back to a mental capacity, mentally, what were they thinking? What's going on there?
Or even if we were devastated by it, we wouldn't suit up like that and go wait for the person and murder him, you know?
That's
So
true.
crazy.
Yeah. Most people are just like, mad. They, hit the table or, say a few choice words or whatever, but we don't go around, going, let me go
Yeah.
get my gun and my hammer and go kill somebody.
Yeah, it's definitely
Exactly.
next level.
I
I
had
agree.
I had a hammer in my car for some reason. I think my daughter needed to borrow it and I forgot. And I thought, I need to get that out of my car. Just sitting in my car randomly.
No,
Scary.
what's funny is you would never walk into a bank with a mask on. In the last few years, everybody walks into a bank with a mask on.
Right. Good point.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be scary for the people working there. They're like, oh gosh,
Yeah,
what are we doing?
people would have freaked out 10 years ago if you walked in with a mask. They would have thought you were definitely going to hold them up. That's a good point.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's just bizarre.
And then then you got in trouble if you didn't have one on.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, ma'am, could you stand outside, please? Yeah.
You do not have your mask on. You are not. You don't have your gloves on or your mask. We need you to put those back on and come back in the bank.
And then if you say, well, it's not required, then you get called a Karen.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Let me put on my mask so I can walk 15 feet, sit at my table, and take it off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's so funny in restaurants. That's so true.
You're in your bubble now.
We
You're
used to
good.
laugh about that.
We did too.
Yeah, we walk into Chewy's. My friend and I had lunch, and then it was right in the middle of all this chaos. And then we sat down, and she goes, "That's so weird. We just walked a few feet, and now we can take
Now
them
you're
off,
good.
and it's totally legal." It's so weird. We're just sitting right here.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I can imagine it was weird for the banks.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any more from Midlothian on anything, unless y'all have. Have y'all heard anything more on Midlothian on releasing anything at all?
No, they've been crickets, silent. And I'm sure that's just because they don't want too much getting out, which makes perfect sense. But what are your thoughts on that? Why do you think that they're not addressing the media anymore?
Well, I think they put out as much as they probably feel like they could safely do without, messing with their investigation. There's always some that you're going to hold back a bit because that is what you're going to need when you're dealing with your suspects and as you interrogate them, if they reveal things that you haven't released, that's part of what you're going to hold back against the case. So I think they probably put out as much as they feel like they can safely put out without interfering with their investigation.
At what point do you think police go, okay, let's put out a little bit more? We have, the perpetrator that we know of at least 30 minutes. We have 2 minutes and 26 seconds. So what point do the police go, all right, y'all, let's put out another 30 seconds? I mean, at what point do you think this happens?
I think when they feel like they have reached maybe their limits, where they've gone to go with the investigation, they may reevaluate what they could safely put out without interfering with their investigation. it's a little bit more. Maybe something that we put out would jog somebody's memory. But I'm still of the opinion somebody out there knows something,
Yeah, that's
keeping it real close to the chest, and that's sad.
yeah, it is. That's
Yeah.
that's why we do what we do, because we know there's
Right.
somebody out there that's afraid and wants to come forward. I mean, people do reach out to us and tell us things. Sometimes it, seems like it's something really, substantial, and we, tell them to contact police or Crime Stoppers of Ellis County, do the
Right.
anonymous thing, that's an option. But sometimes it,
And for a couple of people who weren't very comfortable, we did introduce them to the police through an email and kind of got them together. So
Good.
yeah, if there is anyone out there who is hesitant, we're here to help and we can make that introduction. I mean, calling the police, I guess, is scary for some people.
yeah.
Sure.
Sure. Especially if they might have something sketchy in their background or they just might be afraid in general.
Right.
So
Right.
just don't be. I just want people not to be afraid. It doesn't matter what you've done in your past. I don't care if you smoke weed on the weekends in your house. They're not going to come at you. They want information about this case. They're
Right.
not going to investigate you. So come forward.
I'm glad you said
Exactly.
that, Crystal, because I was actually going to ask him if he was interrogating. Let's say that somebody said, Bobby over here, he knows what happened. Talk to him and you bring him in and he's not talking to you. What is something that you say to him to get him to feel comfortable and talk about what he knows? Is there some kind of technique y'all use to get that, to happen?
Well, it's gonna start with the connection between the uh, witness and the officer. Some people click, some people don't.
Yeah.
I can remember a situation a while back that a guy would wanted to meet with me concerning um, a drug situation. A guy that was uh, selling a lot of dope. He wasn't your typical, or he had more with it than just your typical user, but he wouldn't talk to me at the station. I had to go out and meet with him, with me and put him by, and I went in and talked with him. He seemed to be more open to speak with me away from the station. He didn't have anybody see him come into the station. And
Yeah.
it worked out real well. I think we picked up like 40, 60 pounds of dope, just because of his information. But usually it's the connection, and usually the witnesses will, if they know you, they will pick you because he called and asked for and said he wouldn't meet me at the station. So I went down and met with him away from there. He turned out fine. So I think it's probably, I don't think there's any magic potion or magic technique you can use to have somebody spill the beans on that, but there is a way to work with them and having them there for a while,
Having on
saying
them.
certain things that make them think about it over and over, that they'll,
Yeah.
okay, fine, here's what I know.
Yeah, that's great.
I
guess
really love what you said about meeting off the premises because I know that can be intimidating because you walk into a police department and they've got the handcuffs, they've got the guns, they've got the jail cells, and you're just you.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see where that would feel uneven
Yeah.
and intimidating.
Right.
And you walk in there and you have, if there's other people there, which if it's a large department, you'll have other people in there on other business, and they're all looking at you and they're wondering, why are you here? You meet with the officer and they're, what
Mhm.
here, who's he here to rat out?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you don't want anybody to see you. I get that. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, we do hope somebody will, if you're listening to this and you know something and you've been thinking about it, but you're just not sure. There's so many options. Like I said, Crime Stoppers of Ellis County has a number. There is an app that's called it's called P3, and you just download the app and you go on there and I can tell you from experience, they know nothing about you. The only reason they know who to answer is because it knows where it's coming, like the area it's coming, the call it's going to, they know the location. They know to say Crime Stoppers of Ellis County or Crime Stoppers of Houston or whatever, but that's it. They know nothing else. They don't have a number. So, and then they can communicate through some kind of response system, but it's, they don't know your name or anything. There's just so many options, to do. And I just really hope that somebody would get the courage to come forward and tell what they know to get this case closed, because the family and obviously all these people, we all want to see justice for Missy.
Geez, and there's such a long road, because as Michael knows better than we do, the rest is just sort of the beginning.
Yeah.
You've got to get through the trial and hopefully get a conviction, or maybe get them to settle on something that you can agree on and not go to trial.
Right.
Wild.
Yeah. And if there is somebody out there that knows something, please say something. I mean, you don't have to do your name. We don't be anonymous. Even if you go in, they won't release your name. Dealing with informants that have come in with me that weren't afraid. We always assign them a different name or something to that effect to keep it all confidential.
Oh, that's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, the police are not in the business of trying to get you killed. They want the information, and they're going to help protect you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of folks get their information, police, from TV shows. Don't believe everything you see on social media. Don't believe anything you see from Hollywood. It's not. Most of it's not true.
Yeah. Right. Because the reason it made a good TV story on a show that's scripted is because something crazy did happen. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And I always trying to sensationalize it. I mean, that's what sells.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. I think this story has enough on its own. It doesn't need anything extra.
Yeah,
there's
enough
that's the truth.
twists and turns.
Well, Michael, do you have anything else you wanted to share with us? We're so happy you came on the show. It's so great hearing from somebody who's actually in law enforcement.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, y'all keep up the good work, keeping it out there, and I'll make sure that I continue to share your stuff across all these other platforms that I have. We can generate a little more buzz about it, keep it in the forefront of everybody's mind. They don't
Thank
forget.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, if we could if one tip could come in that could help, that would just be the biggest payoff for us.
It sure would.
Yes.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. This was a lot of fun. We enjoyed chatting with you and
learning.
We'll hopefully get to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
We'll have you back on when there's some change in this case. That'll be a really fun
episode. That'll be great. That'll be great. Yeah.
All right, Michael. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Y'all keep up the good work. Stay safe.
Thank you.
You too.
All right.